You got to put in the work. You got to put in the work. You think about it. You want this. You have this end result that you want. You got to put in the work. You have to figure out the steps you need to take to get to that result you want.
You're listening to the Rise to Rise podcast. Are you an electrical contractor looking for your next big breakthrough? Just breaking out, service rookie, or seasoned pro? You're in the right place to get the inspiration and tools to help you rise to become a premium service provider. Introducing your host, the founder of Service Loop Strategies, the ex-master electrician with a service addiction, Clay Newmeyer. Take it away, Clay.
This next episode, this episode 3, it was simply a triage call with my brothers, Eddie and Edward over at Ion Electric. These guys are building a nice, reputable little business with big goals, and I know they're going to achieve them. You're going to want to hear this. First, I want to say I love the branding, fellas. Ion Electric,
like it?
Looking good. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, like one thing I'm so picky about how things look, how they fit. I want my guys to be comfortable. It's all about that image, right? You know what I mean? Like, when we go to your house, it's like, I want everybody to look like a team. You know what I mean? Just like we run, like, like you see a coach running a football team and stuff like that. Like, I'm all about that image, man. Like, for sure.
It's not even just that. It's also us as a company to look completely different from a typical electrical company. Most tradesmen they don't think about as how important how you look, your professionalism, like, and your appearance. You look modern. You look like an actual smart intellect. You got yourself put together, not just some guy running up all dirty, with mustard on his shirt or something like that.
True story, by the way. True story, by the way.
Colonel Mustard in the kitchen with a spatula. Oh, man, that's funny. No, you know what? I love that, guys. I wrote down 2 things there: brand identity and continuity. So I love that you said that too, Eddie. I mean, it's clear right off the bat, you guys are on the same page with this.
Yeah.
And I'll just throw something down there. We say there's 2 seasons in business: building equity and cashing in on equity. What do you think are the things that build equity? Think of like your house, right? What are the things that build equity in a business?
Let's see. I guess communication. Just like this consistency of everything, whether it's communicating with the customer, always informing them what's involved in their project, what the stage is, just keeping them informed in the whole process. You don't want them to feel that they're left out of their own personal project, and what they're looking for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Also, I think to answer on as well as that is even before you get a customer, you know what I mean? Like, if they're following you for a while, I want to build that trust. We can call that equity too. Eddie, like, we're always trying to post that content. So by the time when they're ready to buy, I want to be the company that they call and hire because they've been watching us for a while. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
And that's such a common thing nowadays with as consumers. When the consumer is ready to buy, they already planned that out. They already planned that purchase out well in advance before they call you or they go to the store. They already did their research way beforehand, because that's the society we live in now. It's based on reviews and content and, what people are out there saying.
I love those answers, fellas. Those are some of the best answers I've heard on these calls, just so you know. I think you guys are really forward thinking. Let's say that. But also it's the same brand identity and the continuity that you already mentioned.
Yep.
Right. And Lloyd sometimes talks about this in a little simpler terms. It's awareness before it's ever marketing. It's, that brand exists, and they see it and they see it and they see it, and they always see it clean.
100%.
They never see it with trust. And they don't even know, but it's inception. This is happening in the background, right? Like you said, Edward, we're building that trust long ahead. And the fact that you guys said, people are planning their purchases well ahead of time, that's a really important piece too. And actually, my content is focused on that this week. Really. And don't listen to what I say, watch what I do. Edward, you and I have been chatting for a little bit, I think the last year, honestly, right?
Yep. And I see what you do, man. I'm watching secretly. I'm watching.
Right? The strategy is not the hard part, fellas. I got strategies coming out the yin yang. It's state, it's story, it's consistent activity. Right? 100%. Winners and losers come to the game with the same mission. They both want to win. What's the difference?
100%.
It's the consistent activity. That's all it is.
Whatever it is. You know, obviously it could be very short steps, but those steps can be very, very difficult to achieve that end result that you want. So, I mean, you got to put it in, you got to go in at it, you know, and not be scared to take the risk, and not scared to, maybe those steps, you might fail in those steps, but you can't see that as like, oh, it's never going to happen. You got to keep on going to figure out how to complete that step. So you go to the next one to get that goal, to get, you know.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's really good, guys. That's so good that I want to ask permission right now. I think we should post that clip we just did.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You guys
all about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a true believer of sharing knowledge, man, and helping everybody. I mean, that's how the whole industry gets lifted up, right?
100%. You know, we want the industry to change. We want the industry to pivot. We don't want the industry to stay back and stuck in, you know, the 70s or 80s, you know, because the trades is still stuck in that time. The majority of it is. So we want to help everybody in all types of trades, whether you're plumbing, you know, welding, anything. Just try to bring it up forward, you know, to today's time.
Sir. Okay, so the second piece of that, just to finish the thought, cashing in on that equity, right? So we build that equity up. When do we get to cash in on it? And what does that mean, really?
I think I guess, because you did all that work, you built all that equity, you got that trust and everything like that. Now, when customers that already dealt with us the first time, and you know, now we have a relationship. Now there's no questions. There's no question our price or our methods. There's just, okay, I want you guys to get it done. Tell me what it is. When can you do it? It's done. There's no.
Can I interrupt you there and say one thing quick?
No worries.
It's not even that there isn't questions, that they trust you to present the actual questions that they have.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of objections are surface level at first, and what we're truly getting is a lack of trust.
Gotcha.
I just wanted to insert that slight difference.
Oh, for sure.
There could still be questions, but they'll actually be forward and just say, yo, Eddie, I'm not sure about this price. Can you help me understand this? Because we want to work with you, but I just not feeling right about this. That's something a friend would say, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Someone that doesn't respect you, doesn't trust you yet, might say, I need to talk to my wife about this.
That's a good point, Clay, too, because I try to train myself to think like as I'm talking to my aunt or like a family member or a friend, and not so robotic, and you know what I mean, like just I call it breaking the stranger barrier. You know what I mean? Like you're talking and you're asking these questions to get past that point, so you guys can be candid with each other. And one thing I always tell almost every prospect is, you know, I'm always going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You know what I mean? And I hope you respect that. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel like we're going to get closer, and I can actually get to, you know, what you're really looking for. You know, and so I'm glad you brought that up. It's always my goal to get past that stranger barrier, for sure.
Totally. And you were nailing it, Eddie. I'm sorry to cut you short.
No, for sure. No, for sure. It's all good.
You were on a bit of a roll. That slight little difference. Sometimes it's those littlest things, right?
Hey, that littlest things makes the biggest difference. 100%. That's definitely for sure.
Wild. You know what I love most about my job? I got to tell you guys quick. Everything I do is co-creation. There's all this information experience. You guys have all the accumulation of so much experience that I don't have or haven't been participating in for years now. And 2 people come together, 3 people come together, and it's like there's a 4th brain born. It's co-creation.
Yeah,
I didn't expect this conversation. It's not my standard direction. It certainly probably isn't yours. Not something you guys are talking to someone like me about every day. So it just comes forward, and it's powerful, the things that are out already. So I do want to say that and acknowledge that with you guys.
Yeah. No, I love it, man.
Thanks. I see some acoustic, or is that what that is? Acoustic barriers on your wall there, Edward?
Yes. Yep. So me and Eddie, we want to eventually want to start our own podcast.
Yeah, eventually.
So we're slowly working on like our little area
aesthetics. Yeah, just for the aesthetics and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I just started one.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, you guys want to be my guest?
Oh, hell yeah, I'm all about it.
I love where this is going, so let's do it together. Definitely.
And you know, we're still fresh in it compared to a lot of other people. So you know, me and Eddie, we have the mindset of let's just be sponges, man. Let's just absorb as much as we can before the next, before the people who are way ahead of us, they leave the industry. We want to fill their slots. You know what I mean? So we're trying to learn as much as possible from everybody before us.
Totally, man. It's all opportunity. And every customer, every prospect out there, every home. I mean, there's a Carfax. Why isn't there a house fax? I mean, you're going to see me stand for this.
That's a great
and
question.
again.
That's a great question.
Right? Like, how many times does an electrician actually go to a home that isn't sold every year or renovated every year? I mean, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years before a master electrician's in this house again. Yet most people are like afraid of being a salesperson. I did this exercise with my one guy, Raphael, and we were talking through it, and he's like, man, I don't want to come off salesy. And I gave him this 10-point critical inspection. I was like, Raphael, you got to be doing these, brother, because no one else is going to do this. There's no house facts. This place isn't safe as far as we know. It needs to be said. It needs to be inspected. We need to know. And he's like, brother, I'm just not a salesman. I said, I think it's salesy when someone who is an electrician calls you to come put in a light in their house. They don't know the first thing about electron flow, and all you do is what they ask for.
Yeah.
You got 45,000 hours in the trade as a master electrician. You told me yourself your friends call you with code questions. Yet you don't do anything more than the average person asks you to do.
Yep.
That to me makes you a handyman. That's salesy, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's true. True. That's so true.
Exactly.
And we're the only trade that has this problem.
Yeah, me and Eddie, we've been talking a lot about lately. I'm in BNI as well, like networking. We're in 2 BNI groups, and my last presentation I did, we talked about how, at least for Ion, we want to represent ourselves as like your local doctor electrician, or like your Professor Sparky. Like, I don't have it with me right now, but I carry around a stethoscope that I'll keep around my neck, because I try to remind myself, like, hey man, you're Dr. Rivera, Dr. Electrician. They're calling you to ask you questions, and you want to be the authority figure, the educator. You know what I mean? And again, going back to the trust, reframing the way people look at us.
Yeah,
and that's a problem, right? Because we get a shitty rap for being contractors in general. People don't trust. Go ahead, Eddie. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I was just saying, I was just add what Eddie was saying. Like, when a customer calls and you teach them something, like you give them a better understanding, you break it down, what seems to them very complicated, and you break it down to in layman's terms, in like a digestible way, so they can understand how electricity works, or how, why are these things happening and not working as they should, and they have a rough understanding of what's going on, in a digestible way.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you guys use a framework for that at all? Do you have a basis for which you guys use for that process?
Not yet. That seems to be our spot right now, where we got a lot up here, but we haven't yet got it down on paper, or like in some sort of framework, like you said, or scaffolding.
Yeah.
So that's what we're literally working on right now, is trying to develop systems, SOPs, and just stuff that help us streamline this process, because we all have to be on the same page, right? I just don't want me and Eddie or our office staff to be all saying different things. I want us all to be on the same page. So we're literally in the middle of that, trying to streamline that.
And it's not only just like, as far as speaking, as when sharing knowledge or anything like that, even our work ethic, like when we do a panel installs, it doesn't matter if Tony cuts in a panel, I cut in the panel, or some other team member cuts in a panel, the end result is still the same. There's consistency in that as well. Not only consistency in our communication, but it's consistency in our work. So no matter what you're going to get, no matter if it's a person that's like, getting just a regular 100 amp panel put in, or someone getting a smart span panel put in, the quality and the attention to detail is still there 100%.
Yeah.
Listen, so we call it the conversion equation. Some coaches, consultants call it a marketing equation. But it's really simple, fellas, very simple. And that's why I love this thing. So as a marketing equation, there's 4 steps. Our marketing needs to do 4 things. Number 1, it needs to interrupt people. Why? Because people are on their own little highway of pain and suffering every day. And right now, the suffering that they're going through, that we know for sure, is about 3,000 interruptions, distractions, trying to get their attention every day. Your attention, my attention, right? You went on Facebook today. How many times did you see an ad on there?
Oh, yeah.
Lost count.
Constant. Yeah, it's constant.
They've got so good at it. Sometimes I'm scrolling through Marketplace. You guys tell me if this is the same for you. Sometimes I scroll through Marketplace and I think, oh, I ought to buy that. And then you realize it's an ad. It's completely blended in.
Yep.
Right? You
100%.
can't even tell what's an ad and what's just standard feed now.
I mean, for me, I go through that all the time because I'm always on marketplace looking for cars to buy, cheap cars to buy, so and flip. So, so I'm like, dude, that looks like a great deal. It's like, oh man, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I love that. So that first one is interrupt, and we've actually got a resource called Content Headlines, pretty much as a giveaway resource, but it's a whole list of ways to interrupt people. Like 3 big mistakes you don't want to make in your electrical contracting business, right? Even if we're distracted 3,000 times before we see that, there's a piece of us that recognizes that maybe those are 3 things I ought to see. And so you've seen a lot of content with that, right? And some people are developing a little resistance to it. But basically, if you interrupt someone with something that's going on in their life currently, they have to look. It's just human nature.
True.
Right? So number 1 is interrupt. Now, as a conversion process, when you're talking to someone, don't interrupt your client when they're talking. That's not what it means, right? So if you're already at the point of conversing with someone, it's not like, oh, wait, George, hey, hang on, buddy. Let me say something. Let me say something before you talk.
Yeah, pump the brakes, man.
Yeah, that's not going to help you. But everything we do is in the next 3 steps. Okay, so if it's marketing, you start with interrupt. If you're already at the door, you don't need that step. The next one is engage. Engage. Engage in what? Engage in the conversation that's going on in their head, not yours. See, the problem with sales in general that I find is everyone preparing to go there and sell something is wrong. It's the wrong task. It's the wrong prerogative. It's the wrong goal. We go there and we try to make a friend. And if they become a friend, then we can agree on a sale, right? Because a confused mind never buys, and without trust, they'll never buy. So engaging in the conversation in their head. You want to hear something magical, and you can smile ear to ear if you ever hear this out of your prospect's mouth. It's like you took the words right out of my mouth. Wow, you read my mind.
You understand me, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Right now we're speaking my language. So what's the most important piece to engagement? Well, let me ask you guys this. What's the most important subject to any person?
Their own vision, what they want. That's the most important to them. They don't really care even about your business. They care about what they're going to get out of it.
Exactly.
And also they're going to get what they want. And sometimes it's our job to figure out, hey, what are you trying to create with this space? Like, what are you trying to do? Because for us, it's just a job, bring wire from point A to point B. But for them, this is something they're going to be creating memories with in this space. So whatever this project they're trying to do. So it's our job to get the main focus of why they're calling us and what are we quoting on? Like, get to them. What's important to them?
That's more important than the actual electrical work.
So important. Yeah, you guys nailed it. It's them. Most important subject to any person is themselves, not you. Even philanthropists who are out there giving it all away, right? They're doing that in part. They don't want to say it, but it's in part for them. It's in part for credit. It's in part about their attention and their following, their influence. It just is. That's the way it is. It's a dog eat dog world, and people care about themselves first.
100%.
All right. So engage. How do we engage then? We get them talking. 5 critical questions: who, what, when, why, how, where. Maybe I said 6 there, but you get it. Open-ended questions, fellas. That gets people talking. What do we learn if we just ask why? Oh, when did you first notice that? Well, it was just after Thanksgiving. The neighbor was over. The neighbor and I are close, right? They know the kids know them. Everyone trusts. Why are we talking about the neighbor? You don't know. I don't know. But you just found out a critical piece of information about your prospect that you couldn't have known otherwise. Right? But most contractors, most of us go in and we skip to step 3. We skip that engagement and we get right to educate. Problem is, if they don't trust you, are they going to listen to the things you say?
Probably not. Obviously not, because you didn't spend that time for engaging. They could just be like, oh, this guy's just trying to get my money or whatever. He's going to probably overcharge me, or whatever the case may be, of the typical stigmatism of the trades.
Throwing up all over them.
Totally. It's like engage is a fork in the road. We're going to go down friend lane or we're going to go down sales lane. And so I see, and people say all the time, you see me throw out questions on Rebs and in my personal page and just see what people say. I don't try to create a bunch of controversy, but I'm always inferring something.
Yeah.
And you see people every day, well, I don't care, they're just not my customer. I see a bunch of uncared for customers out there, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone needs something. And we have to acknowledge that there's different personality types, right? So some people like me, I'm fairly assertive. So when someone comes to the door, I'm like, yeah, no, we're just going to do that. Oh, that's a cool story. I like it. But hang on, let's just, let's have a look at this. Let's go through the process. You're going to do it right, quality. I take people off their game with that. And you've I'm sure encountered people like that in your experience too, right?
100%.
Here's my dirty little secret. If they're good at this conversion, if they're good at building rapport with me, if they then demonstrate that they're educated and experienced, I'll pay whatever they want if I like them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? How about you guys?
No, 100%. If a customer is like, doesn't matter, like if you went through the whole process with them and you build trust with them, build a relationship with them. At that point, it's just kind of like, hey, I don't care. I know you guys are, I know you guys are higher than everybody else, but I love the experience, the process with you guys had, because it's so streamlined, so fluidic. It's you don't have to think about it. It makes you so stress free, and just whatever it is, okay, we're gonna just go with you guys no matter what. So that's.
Yeah, I agree. There's a local mechanic over here that, for the longest time, my wife, she's so skeptical of just that stuff, like a lot of homeowners are, and a lot of women, especially. And she's like, yeah, I try to go this mechanic place, that mechanic place. They all seem to try to rip me off. Like I never can get the full picture. I don't get that level of respect. Long story short, we ended up finding this place nearby, small little spot, but the guy is just so personable. He asks a lot of open-ended questions. He doesn't like. She doesn't feel uncomfortable like he's trying to sell her something or fearmonger her. He sits down with her and he'll give her a list of things that are like must need to get done now. This can wait, and so on. And she just feels so comfortable that at this point, whatever his name is Dennis, whatever Dennis says needs to get done, she's like, let's just do it. There's not even any question. We don't even care about the price because we trust him wholeheartedly, and we send everybody we know to him. And I'm like, and I pay attention as a business owner. I'm like, what is okay? I want to capture that essence of what he's doing with our company. You know what I mean? So yeah.
100%. And you mentioned something so important. We'll tie back to that lifetime customer value after, because it's not just about today's transaction, is it?
No.
Right. Most people you ask, what's your lifetime client value? They tend to say the same as their average ticket price. It's not the same. Sorry, Eddie, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just saying, like Eddie, with from the mechanic, from him, like, okay, that experience, he that feeling he experienced is like, damn, like I want the customers for my business, I want them to feel like I'm feeling right now. So we got to implement that in this company as well, because that's a great feeling of just knowing.
We call Ion. It's like, I know they're going to give it to us straight. I trust those guys, which we're starting to build people like that. You know what I mean? Like Mr. Bacon, he's a guy he calls. We took him out of a nightmare situation. Which we did a customer testimonial video with him. It's pretty powerful. Wow. But now he literally said, he's like, I'm not ever using anybody else ever again. You guys are my people, like just forever now. And I want to hear that. I'm trying to repeat that more and more.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. You can't get that in commercial, fellas. I did commercial industrial projects for a long time, hated it. I'm ultimately where I want to be. I want to have impact on real people that are going to show real love, man, for a long time. Yeah. That's what I'm about, changing lives. And you can't do that with some of these contractors, these contracts, these commercial relationships.
Disconnected sometimes.
Yeah, totally disconnected. There's like, we've experienced like what, I mean, when we did that T-Mobile job, Eddie, like the GC for that one was just like, there's horrible communication. It's just like, they're putting up walls before putting up electrical. It's like, why didn't you tell me you need to put electrical? It's like, you have the same plans as us. Like there's has to be outlets over here. Why are you putting up walls? And you're getting mad because you got to tear the walls back down again.
Just guess what? Like they're humans too. You know what I mean? Just like a homeowner, this guy's also a regular person. He's got kids, he's got a wife. He has emotions and stuff. So we can tap into that on that side of things.
Totally.
I feel like we might be able to have a little bit of luck. Commercial is a different animal, but trying to figure that out, like a little Rubik's Cube or something, you know? So
Yep, 100%.
Totally. Well, it comes down to people, right? We're in the business of people. So
yep.
we'll leave that one there, guys. But let me jump back to this conversion equation and finish up what I started there. So we got to education. Now people understand, they trust us from engaging. We educated them. Now we can finally offer. That's the fourth piece. But an offer isn't just as simple as saying, well, here's our price, is it? There's still education components. There's still this component of making sure they understand what that offer is. And I'm not sure if I sent it to you as well, but I've also got something called the value driver framework, which is something I've borrowed from Centa Millionaire now, Alex Hormozy. You guys ever read this book, $100 Million Offers?
Ooh, yes. I do have that one.
The guy's incredible. He's all over podcasts right now. He's done amazing things, but it comes down to this simple little framework, right? So if you're interested in this value piece, whatever, let me know. I'll send it to you after the show. But
no, 100%.
Essentially,
Eddie, that was one I got to get you on that one. It's such a good book.
Yeah, totally, man. I've got audio, I've got the book, I've got notes. I mean, I've just dissected this thing and reproduced it and borrowed some stuff, and it's wonderful.
Dude, that's awesome. I'd love to pick your brain on your thoughts on that for sure.
Yeah, totally. So that conversion equation, again, when we have this approach, it takes all the scripty robot shit out of this. The goal is no longer to sell. The goal is the first step, right? That engagement. Or again, if we're marketing with it, then we're doing this in one foul swoop. Interrupt, engage, educate, offer. And you can do that in a single advertisement. You can put that on a business card even. You got to get creative with space, but this stuff works and it begins to create that next level trust. It helps us move through that process. So it's so important. All right. Tell me a bit about how you guys got started. How did you two meet? And then Edward, where does Ion come from? Give us some background here.
Yeah, so you take the Wayback Machine, man. Probably what, Eddie, like 13 years ago, maybe at this point.
Yeah, it was 2010.
14.
So it was 2010.
Yeah, okay, yep. And then so me and Eddie, I'm from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Eddie's from PA, where he is now. He moved to AZ to go to school. I think you were going for automotive school, right?
Yep, moved over there it was 2 weeks after I graduated high school. I went up and bounced to Arizona, and went to tech school out there, for automotive technology. And but I moved there 3 months before I was going to start the classes. So I was like, okay, I need to find a job, get myself together. And I got a job at Journeys at the mall. I was like, okay, like this is good for now, but I need something coming in before I can start applying at these dealerships and stuff like that. So got the Journeys. It was maybe like a week after I started, and I roll up, whatever. And I see my manager Tom. He's talking with Eddie, but it was funny because like I showed up, I'm in like blue jeans, a red flannel, and a backward snapback.
Sounds pretty Canadian.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then Eddie, he's there wearing blue jeans, a flannel, and a snapback backwards, and we're like, both wearing the same thing.
You walk into each other.
Like, your name's Edward too. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and freaking both Eddie, and then we're obviously, so we both started. We started in the back stacking shoes, and we start getting to talking, and then it's like, dude, like we're both heavy goal oriented people. It's like, hey, this is the first step. We try to bounce to this and this and open businesses. We get this whole giant conversation.
Everything, we're on the same page as far as everything.
While getting paid $7.25 an hour stacking shoes at Journeys.
Yeah, but we were stacking shoes and dreaming, bro, in the back. Like, dude,
that's it.
Nice. All this cool shit, and after that, it was just the rest is history, man. We just at that point we just supported each other in any little goals we had, and we called each other every day. We talked every day just to make sure we're on the same page. We kind of split ways for a little bit in our careers. But we knew that's what needed to get done, right? To kind of keep moving on with hitting these little goalposts. And then again, you speed things up a little bit. I'm now in New England. My brother-in-law, he was in the middle of getting his master electrician license, and I was just on the end of getting my over here in New England, it's called a gas fitters license for like HVAC, and so I was getting that. And then he got his license, and then I was like, why don't we just start a business, man? Like, we got all these licenses and shit, you know what I mean? Like, I have Eddie there, and he's always down, like whatever you're trying to get into.
Let's just do it.
And so I called Eddie up, and Eddie's all aggressive. He's like, bro, what do you need, man? Like, I'll put money down. Like, I was like,
Well, funny enough,
like,
because
let's slow things down, like, because he was ready to go.
oh, because it was funny because at this time period, because during this time period, I was traveling the world fixing industrial machinery. And when he called me, it was funny. I was like, when he called me asking about, to tell me about the business, I was like, I think it was on a Saturday or something. I was in California, about to walk into Chipotle, like just for him. And and he's asking about this. I'm like I'm in front of this Chipotle going crazy, just like, yeah, dude, I'm so down. We got to look like a crazy man, like super energetic.
Yeah, and that was like 2016, and we didn't have any trucks yet. I had this shitty like little Hyundai Santa Fe, that I put a ladder rack on.
Bro, the worst paint on that Hyundai. Dude,
bro, yeah, I bought it from some elderly couple who lived in Florida or some shit, and we just did it, man. My whole mindset was like, we're just gonna go after this, and we're gonna correct course as we go along, And immediately, as soon as opportunities opened up for like anything, we took it, And so then we got the work trucks. We eventually got Eddie to come on board, and it got to the point where when myself, I was still working at Bosch Thermal Technology. I was doing tech support and all that stuff. So I was doing like the Ion, we call it Ion after hours, working on the weekend, overnights, working midnight sometimes, bro. It was brutal.
Oh man, I used to stay with them on late, like be on Zoom, like webcam calls. I'll be in a hotel, wherever it was at the time, and I'm helping Eddie and Tony build out quotes to like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, guys,
send you plans.
Send me plans. I'm like, all right, guys. I'm like, I gotta wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to fix this machine. So
Yep. But probably maybe about 2 years ago, I came on full time. I left my job. Eddie left his job. He moved over here, and we just hit the ground running, man. Super hard. Like we don't like wasting time on a lot of stuff. So we just hit it all, man. We're going after commercial projects, residential, and then like I said, we were to get a couple more trucks, got a couple more people on the team. Long story short, Eddie was able to learn a lot of stuff out in the field from just like observing, being around the team, and then now once he absorbed all that information, now he's in the office now, and he's helping me build these quotes. And as you can see, we're on the same page again with all this stuff, and so. Now me and him are kind of trying to team up, trying to build this thing where we're not working in the business, we're working on it. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. We still got a couple hats we're wearing, or we're trying to, what do we say? We're trying to fire ourselves.
Man. Each little hat, just like put it on somebody else. I just fired myself. Like that's the end goal.
Okay,
yeah, but we can't do that right until we come up with these systems and everything first, and then get people in the right positions.
Of course, fellas. There's something we call the law of hindrance. I just can educate people the whole way. I can't help it. I feel like we have rapport though. Can I drop something here?
Yeah, drop it.
Okay,
go ahead.
Good. The law of hindrance, 2 things that hold back business owners. One is they say deficiencies in the discipline. So what discipline, right? The discipline of doing the right things at the right time for the right people. Here's the problem. That changes as you grow your business. What are you supposed to be doing today? What are you supposed to do tomorrow? Every time you fire yourself, the discipline's got to change.
Yep.
So that's problem 1. It's huge. Most people don't figure that out. Problem 2 is trust. Connected to problem 1, we tend to build ourselves a little electrical or HVAC island as a contractor. We never figure out how to delegate, how to fire ourselves, and trust someone with a little bit of framework to take that framework, run with it, focus on it, and do it better than we ever could. And that is so important. So the 2 of those combined, law of the hindrance. Let me ask a question though. Eddie, you did a couple years in the field. You're not ticketed? Or were you an apprentice, or did you get ticketed? I was
an apprentice. I was an apprentice. I did the register card and everything like that. Okay,
so took enough in to figure out the estimating and help with office stuff and just rolling with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't just after doing the days being in the field. It was like, okay, after that day, I like to self-reflect a lot. So it's like, okay, when I'm home, what did I do today? Like, did I understand what was going on like throughout that day? Like doing the panel upgrade. Okay, it could be, you could break it down simple as, okay, black is your hot, white is your neutral. You could break it down like that, but like get a deeper understanding of what you were doing and understand why. So if anybody asks you, or if a customer asks me a question, I could properly educate them as how something works and what it's supposed to do. So basically that's be my day-to-day, every single day, basically just self-reflect in the day and understand what I did. And
I love that.
So
I do. I love that. It's slightly inappropriate, but when I was still in the field and running jobs, and I ran jobs upwards of 100 guys under me kind of thing with construction management teams, quality management, all the rest, they would actually call me, it's bad guys, but they would call me the notepad Nazi. for that reason. Guys would come to me and be like, "Hey, how do I fast track in this trade?" And exactly what you just said, Eddie. Have a notepad. Always take notes when I'm speaking, right? Don't do this if you don't understand, right?
Yep.
And actually, at the end of the day, reflect.
Reflect. Totally. And actually, that's one thing right now we're trying to teach one guy to start being more attentive. You know, he has a little bit of issues as far as like you could tell him to do something. It's like, but then if you tell him that, ask him 5 minutes later what he just did, or you understand, he's like, no, no, not really. I'm like, okay, so let's bring back to speed. Like, I need you to understand this. Everybody's been on the same page. Like, we're out there, when we're out there in the field, we're a team. Yeah, we're a unit. So if one person is not understanding what's going on, that's gonna affect inefficiency. That's gonna affect our consistency. It's gonna affect a lot of stuff. It's just gonna snowball. So we need to make sure, everybody's on the same page at all times, especially with electrical. It's a safety concern also. So somebody could get hurt if someone is not understanding what's happening around. So it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me this, in this first couple of years, what's been the biggest roadblock, your biggest challenge? What's been in the way?
Honestly, I guess personally, or just like as a business?
Yeah, either one of you can answer, but personally and the business. I mean, this podcast, the Rise to Rise podcast, is all about really the story, and stories are entertaining and relatable because there's conflict. So what would you say is your big conflict starting out that's been the hardest thing to overcome, and your biggest realization from that?
I guess for me personally, because my background has always been, I guess, mechanical and automotive and industrial machinery, which involved a lot of electrical stuff in there too. 480 volts, 3-phase, all the other stuff, which broke down to a bunch of other stuff, controls and all that stuff. But trying to adapt that knowledge and trying to see what I can do to learn or pull from that to put into residential electrical, because it's two totally different things. But I have to pivot my theory part, my thought process as far as diagnosing. And how understanding how things work, how things need to be done, how installed, like everything as far as residential electrical and commercial electrical. So that was kind of like a giant learning curve in a sense, because it's like I was coming in overcomplicating things, thinking everything is like, oh no, this is a big giant thing. No, it's like, dude, ain't that serious? No, you're not doing any of that. It's like it's like so for me, it was just kind of hard to kind of like rethink and basically start from scratch, like go back to school. I was literally going back to school, just like, instead of like paying a school, I was literally at home researching, reading, like figuring out what is this supposed to do? Like, what does the GFCI actually do? What is it? So just kind of diving in, try to absorb, like Eddie says, try to be a sponge, absorb. Because this constantly got to be constantly learning every day. Like the day I stop learning every day is probably the day I died. It's like
forever student, right?
Yeah, forever student. Forever
Definitely.
student.
Love that. And this shift from part-time to full-time, I mean, that must have been scary for you guys. Edward, are you having some thoughts around this stuff too?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, dude, it was terrifying, especially because Eddie, we both jumped on board right in the middle of like the COVID-19 situation, in 2020. So it was very risky, but we're not afraid of risk. We're not afraid of jumping in, and that's what entrepreneurship's all about, right? Is kind of getting over those fears and
I tell you what,
after, especially if you believe in the vision, you know what I mean? So
100%. And also just to add to that, especially what adds to that, that risk, that how scared, like, how nervous we were, is like at peak COVID, leaving reputable companies that like that would take care of you, like Bosch. And I worked for industrial machinery company that's like based out of Switzerland, that no matter what, I would have been covered. Great 401k, great bennies, all this other stuff. But now you're leaving all that stuff, company car, all that good stuff. You're leaving all that, to be like, okay, damn, this is like peak COVID. It's very rough for small businesses.
Yep.
Oh, it is what it is. Well, we got to double down on it and just go in and just attack it. And, you work at it. So
yeah, I mean, we realize that, to have true freedom is to kind of, break the chains of the company that's kind of holding us on, because they're going to pay you well, do all this stuff, but that's not real true freedom. You know what I mean? So we figured this is going to be it if we really want to have financial freedom, just everything that we want to do in our lives. This is the way it's going to do it. So it was worth it to us. And like I said, you correct course. You know what I mean? You try to plan out as best as you can and anticipate things, but to me, it was worth it. You know what I mean? And I think my
100%.
biggest thing I had to overcome was in the beginning was just, I think, learning how to learn, also learning how to be a leader, getting out of my own way, kind of putting the ego to the side type stuff, and relying on other people, because you can't do it by yourself, and like I said, Eddie's always been my right-hand guy. So he's like, do whatever you need, man. So I'm like, all right, I gotta step aside and I gotta trust my people around me. You know what I mean? Eddie's my brother. You know what I mean? So I was like, I gotta trust people around me to help me, so we can all work together. And that's been a journey for me as well. Is embracing my team, people around me.
I love that. There are two things I want to throw in there for that. We say the greatest success that you'll realize is through the leverage of other people. So I love that you shared that and connected with that, and this whole concept again of firing yourself and keep putting people in play, giving them more purpose, giving them that vision. I've heard you guys say a couple key things around it, but also you talked about freedom, and this is on my mind. I'm actually listening to this book right now. A guy's name is Ryan Holiday. He's big on stoicism and these old, Roman thoughts and things around it. Crazier is a big topic, which is all about delayed gratification. We've identified this for hundreds, thousands of years, that humans inherently will choose today every time over, right? The immediate reward over delayed gratification. So he said something in the beginning of this book that was profound. I wrote it down. Basically this: freedom is really self-discipline. That's what freedom is. We got the freedom in North America, wonderful Western civilization life, right? Capitalist democracy, however you want to look at it. But we have the freedom to rely on our own willpower to get up and go today, to get out from under the blankets at 5, 6, whatever time you choose to awake, right? And take action. That was just so powerful, I thought. Freedom is self-discipline, because without it, we're free to become pieces of shit.
100%. That's true. No, that's a great nugget right there.
And honestly, that reminds me of you, Eddie, because Eddie's
hopefully not the piece of shit part.
Sorry, no context. Wow.
Like, bro, you suck. I gotta do it now.
And he's like, wait, what? No, dude, literally like the opposite, man. Like, Eddie's so disciplined with things that, like, I'm glad, because you want to surround yourself with people who are like that, which I'm glad we met you too, Clay, because I know what book you're talking about. I just started. It's Ego is the Enemy, and bro, you're a couple pages in, dog, and it's like mind blowing. Eddie, another one, dog. Like, I have a list of books I'm trying to get Eddie on. Wow. But to go back to Eddie though, he's so disciplined, especially like with the health. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I wasn't taking it that serious for a while, and it was just getting out of control. And then when Eddie moved over here, I knew he was the right person to confide in to try to help me figure that out. And he got me on like a workout routine. He's always helped me figure out like my diet, and that is so important, especially in business. You know what I mean? Like, I was suffering, and all these things in my business was suffering too. And so you're right, man. That self-discipline is freedom, because now I'm a different person now. Like, my whole concept on food and my health and my mind is very different, and it's translating into the business. So I'm glad you brought that up, man, the self-discipline, because it's huge, man. I literally feel like a weight lifted off my shoulders because I got that part of my life under control.
And you just nailed it. The world's a mirror. Literally, what you put out is what you get back, right? Health, family, then biz. Honestly, I go through these meetings 100%. with prospects, partners, brothers every day. And some people I can't help because they're not healthy. Honestly, they're just not taking care of themselves. It's all about the business.
For me, health came into a big factor for me when I got into the industrial traveling and fixing industrial machinery, because you're traveling, you're on the road, you don't have access to a kitchen. Like, I was home maybe for almost like, it was like 8 or 9 years. I was only home maybe 4 or 5 days a month. So when you're on the road for that much, it's very easy to go, oh, McDonald's, Applebee's, all this other crazy shit, all the bad shit you're not supposed to eat every day. I was 20, I was 22, 23 years old, weighing 250 pounds with a 42-inch waist.
Wow.
It's just like,
thick boy.
Thick, dude, super thick.
You don't look that now.
Oh no, yeah, and
bro, this guy's like Wolverine without a shirt on. I'm not even joking. It's ridiculous.
But it was just crazy because I had to go to doctors and like, hey, you're 23. I have to prescribe you high blood pressure pills. It's like if you keep going with this lifestyle, you're not gonna live a long life. So that for me was just like a switch. So I was like, you know what? I need to research. I need to figure out what I need to do or what I can do. Like I adapt to my lifestyle of traveling, not being on the road. And now I start researching, okay, counting macros. I start researching this, researching the body, how the body reacts to certain things, complex carbs, and just like, again, just forever student, just learning, just try to absorb and pivot it around. And so now I'm staying healthy, try to be even 200, 32-inch waist. I'm all happy. I'm all good.
Nice.
Makes yourself good.
Nice. Well, I got to go a little bit deeper there and ask you, what do you think for you causes that grind? You're a grinder, right? I'm a grinder 100%. Too, brother. So 100%. What causes for you? What's the grind?
I mean, the grind is like, I see I guess go back to the word, the vision. Like I see a certain result for myself, whether it's visually, spiritually, or even or materialistically. It's just like, if I see something, I'm visualizing something for myself. Like I need to do what I have to do because it's in my head. I need to make it real, I don't want my dreams to stay dreams.
Yeah.
I need them to make them reality in whatever case it is. So it's like, think about it, react, you do it, as far as we talked about it before, is that people talk about a lot of things all the time. We could sit here and talk about, we could bench race all day and talk about what's this, what could be done and all this, but nothing's going to happen until we actually do it.
Yeah.
We're not going to know. So there was a lot of trial and error. So you got to be okay with trial and error as well. You're not going to get it the first time. It's like,
oh, definitely. So many nuggets. So what's the difference between you and the next guy who becomes lazy, gives into a crazier, who doesn't make it happen?
Man, I guess at that point, it's like can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, what's the difference, Eddie? I'll tell you a bit about me and I'll give you a moment to think, because nothing's rehearsed here, guys. This is literally is off the cuff.
Yeah, right? Literally.
It's turned into a podcast episode from a casual triage call. So here we are. But for me, childhood troubles, a bit of adversity, perceived adversity. Mom wasn't there a lot. I was always looking to make people proud, and I just wasn't getting acknowledged. So I've spent a lot of time trying to justify value in my life, making mistakes, and then just fucking tirelessly working to fix those mistakes.
Yeah. No, so I guess at that point, the difference is like, okay, if someone, let's say, for example, like you said, talk about had trauma or anything like that, they didn't have the acceptance, I would say. Whatever they lived through, whatever they experienced, they need to accept it and see what they can do to move on. I know it's a lot easier said than done, which most things are, but that's the next step they got to take to be, to improve. Need to accept what happened and what the experience is, and take it. Obviously, never don't freaking shelter it back, don't hold it in the back, and never ever think about it again, because those experiences, no matter how shitty they may be, is still a learning experience where you can apply to not ever experience that again later down the road. Because history has a weird way of repeating itself. So it's like your last time that's going to come across your way. But since you experienced it, it's like you might see that bad experience come up again. You might be able to avoid it, sidestep it. Like, oh, don't want that. Don't want to go through that again, because I know what happens.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this on the cuff here too. I just had a meeting a couple times last week with a guy who wants to be on this podcast, and he's a ex-NFL Super Bowl champ, Chucky Akobe, and he's like insane in the brain, man, but not an electrician. We were talking about how valuable it could be to help electricians to have him on this show. Is that like a podcast you guys would listen to if he was going through the whole and making it simple? His company's called Basic Instruction, but making it simple for people to have that mindset shift you were just talking about and kind of get over themselves.
Dude, that's a great concept, because I feel like everybody has to go through that. Everybody has to go through that process. And shelter, basically try to pivot and improve themselves. Everybody has to go through that what I call the reality check at some point.
Right.
At some point, life throws you a reality check. And when that reality check happens, it's important what you do after that and how you take it and how you react to that reality check.
Moment of clarity.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Moment of clarity.
I would totally listen to that, man. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I recently had a meeting with this guy, Mr. Fountain Man. He does like life insurance, and just I love the art of conversation, right? Like what we're doing now, because talking to him, I found out he was like head coach for like a couple different like major like college, like universities, like for football.
Right.
And what he did was he took that experience of like being a football coach, and he like made it work for his business on like how you like have game plans. Hey, we have a daily game plan, right? Like, and just running your team like a team, you know what I mean?
Huddle.
And so he was able to take football stuff, just sports stuff, and interpret it for business. And so I was thinking the same thing, hence why we got the uniforms, why we have daily game plans, huddles, you know what I mean? Like just all that stuff. So you can literally absorb things from different skill sets, different industries, different trades. You know what I mean? So I think that's a beautiful thing when you can take different things from different areas into incorporate in your business. So yeah, I would totally listen to that podcast, man, for sure.
It's all about helping people rise, brother.
100%.
Rise. Hey, so let's jump back to your business. Tell me, what is this vision? You guys mentioned vision a few times. So what do you guys see for Ion?
I think one thing we're always trying to put out into the ether is, like Eddie mentioned earlier, we're trying to be like this modern 21st century electrical contractor. You know what I mean? It's like we have to be able to stay up to speed with everything, if it's current NEC stuff or just what's happening in the industry in general. Where is this going? And we want to be either on that wave or ahead of it. You know what I mean? So we're real big into the smart tech, DC microgrid stuff. The smart span panel, Eddie, that we put in. We're trying to be perceived as that modern electrician, and you know what I mean. And we do that with with the aesthetics, And right now we're trying to niche down. The riches are in the niches, man. You know what I mean? And so that's why we're trying to take out the stuff that we hate, we don't like doing, maybe we want to make a lot of money on, or maybe we're just not that good at. I tell customers, like, you don't want us practicing in your home. You want us coming in and just fucking crushing it on like a certain set of things that we're really good at and that we enjoy and that we're passionate about. So that's the vision, man, is just being just badasses at a certain set of skill sets and just being at the forefront of just tech and culture and everything electrical, per se. So
I love that.
I mean, I don't know if you have to add anything, but that's kind of
and not only that, as far as adding to the modern electrical company is social media. Like just adding more to social media, as far as us, whether we're, me and Eddie talk about like creating skits, like little funny skits, whatever, for TikTok reels or whatever the case may be, or even just like we talked about the podcast and everything, just us just talk about different topics of electrical. Because like, hey man, like you talk about like, hey, why would you ever upgrade a panel in your house? Like that'd be a topic. It's like, why would anybody want to upgrade their panel?
Yeah.
And just talk about that, so just everything modernized, as far as a modern, trade company.
Oh man, it's so powerful. I'm glad you guys said both those things. First, the niche, right? Riches in the niches. Everyone's going wide. Everyone's casting a wide net, and you see it with every new company. Forget electrical contractors, like every new company. But in this example, electrical contractors, they come out with a business card and it says, we do commercial, industrial, and residential. They're trying to speak to every electrical problem on the planet, but they're actually speaking to no one in doing so. Because it's not about width, it's about depth.
100%.
Right? If we get depth,
we were guilty of that before, Clay.
Hey?
Yeah. So I'll say we were guilty of that in the beginning. Man.
Oh, yeah, me too, man. Me too. I've done it too, right? Well, I just do everything. And then I realized, you know what? I make more money doing gates and pools and automation. I was like, I'm just going to focus on that stuff in the little town Kelowna that I lived in. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, now I can put a message out that speaks to an exact avatar. There's a person out there that needs a pool, right? But when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. Yeah, it's a huge piece. We do a couple of things, but let me jump back to this because it's actually our content theme. I do content themes every week for the same reasons. And you were talking about something really important. And so this is all going to circle back to the beginning of all of this. And I realize we've taken up a full hour, and I respect your guys' time. So I'll try and be concise here. There's really 3 buckets of lead generation. In fact, I call them 3 buckets of need, desires, problems. Because if I could have any superpower, guys, I'd want to know what everyone's needs, desires, and problems are. I'm talking like walk down the block, vision through the front door. Oh, they want a hot tub. Perfect. I can do spa packs all day. Oh, their dryer's not working, right? Oh, they've got a circuit that hasn't been turned on. The breaker's been off for 2 years. They don't even know what it does, right? Every home has these things going on.
Oh, 100%. Especially all the homes in New England.
Yeah. Yet 95% of us electrical contractors are pulling from this one bucket where the 5% of our clients are. And what that bucket is we're waiting for them to call us and tell us their problem. And we put our numbers out in places, social media, Google. I mean, there's many ways to put your number out, but you're still waiting for someone to call you. So choosing from all the selection, going through all the criteria we mentioned, they do research. There's a whole customer journey that we go through in our program, right? Where are our clients coming from? Why did you call us? Some contractors aren't even asking that when they pick up the phone. What a missed opportunity. We don't even know why people call us.
Damn.
Right? That's just the first bucket. And it's only 5% of the people. And here's the proof. Because only 5% of the people are having a problem right now that needs an electrician right now. And if we market ourselves effectively, that we might have a same-day service option. But that option needs to be priced accordingly because it comes with inherent risk, doesn't it? To keep someone available 24/7 for those calls.
Yep, 100%.
Right? So people talk about building their rates, and that's one of the reasons we got on a call. Well, to what efficiency? And in service, a lot of times the answer is 50% until justified otherwise. 50% because I'm assuming a risk here by leaving that day open for this tech to fix your problems on short notice.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump to bucket 2 quick. We offer. Did I say that clear enough? We offer something. And that doesn't mean go out there and discount your price. There's 2 kinds of offers, incentive and information, which is what you guys are talking about. Getting with the modern times, recognizing that 95% of our future clients aren't ready to buy something today. But by getting our reputation out there, by putting ION out there so they keep seeing it, by talking to them when we're working on their neighbor's house, by putting information out there, like you said, why would I ever want to upgrade my service? You're building rapport. We have to engage with people. The B&I groups, right? That is as good as a referral in many ways. Why? Because they know you.
Yep.
We're all aiming for 3 things: know, like, and trust.
Yep.
Then buy, never before. So what are we doing with bucket 2 to make sure people know, like, and trust us? Right? It's also building equity, as we talked about. Yep. And then bucket 3, the final one, my favorite, really missing opportunities now, is what are we doing while we're there to find more stuff, to offer more? Every time we get a bucket 1 call, don't know where they come from, go and service them with only what they asked for, and then leave without looking at anything else. That's death by 1,000 cuts, gentlemen. Would you agree?
100%. You got to ask questions even while they're doing the job they originally got you in there for. You might see something. It's like, hey, like, what's this hanging wire here? You know, we didn't see before. Or what's up with this open air splice? What's going on with this? You know, it's like, it could be like, oh, I don't know, it's been there for 30 years since I bought the house. It's like,
well, we probably that's why I like to use the doctor analogy, because it's like when you go to like a good doctor, you know what I mean? Like a good one, I mean, not one where they're just going to throw you some medication and not know anything about you or your lifestyle or anything, but a good doctor who asks questions, who diagnose, who starts peeling back the onion, you know, that even comes down to even just the conversation piece, you know what I mean? Just talking to them, getting deep into their motives and what they care about. And so that way you can actually sometimes find obvious things, like Eddie said, there might be stuff hanging, or there might be something that just through conversation. They're like, yeah, you know what? I've done this plenty of times where they're like, man, actually, you know what? While you're here, I've been really wanting to put these lights in this other room. It's super dark, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, man, I'm here. Let's go take a look. You know what I mean? So yeah, like you said, Clay, just kind of offering things and asking them and just, trying to pull more out of it. Not like try to like sell anything to them, but just try to meet their needs or like their pain or pleasure, any of those things, So you can do that with the conversation for sure.
People don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
That's part of that rapport piece. I love the doctor metaphor. Let me give it to you like this. Sometimes, I know you guys know about free Canadian healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Free.
Free.
Free. There is a small monthly payment. No, I'm not going to complain about that. But what I will tell you is people get their wires crossed on this subject. See, I see it as a negative.
Yep.
I do. And here's why. Sometimes I wish I could just go and pay someone, because a lot of contractors run their companies like Canadian doctors run their visits. The government mandates that they get 10 minutes, one problem.
Wow.
So it's in and out, in and out, in and out. If you have a serious complex issue in Canada, it's almost impossible to get the help that you need.
Wow.
They'll refer you to a specialist after a few visits of, oh no, it's just the flu. Here, take some pills, go away, come back later, right? That kind of stuff. You see a specialist in 6 to 9 months, maybe a year. And then that specialist wants to, again, pharmaceutical or surgery, and yet there's been no real diagnosis. No real troubleshooting, right?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Damn,
exactly.
just friggin' go straight into part swapping. Like,
so
damn.
our only hope becomes naturopaths. And I love this. I love that that's a journey too. I want to do preventative maintenance in my life. And that's why I love this metaphor for electrical. Thank you, fellas, for bringing it up, right? Naturopath, what's the problem? Well, they're $400 an hour. Guess what? We should be too.
Yep.
We should
Charge
be
those
too.
doctor prices, brothers, know your
100%.
prices, man.
If you're serving at that level, I want to see all of us rise to that occasion, to that opportunity, to actually bring people more knowledge, to bring them more safety, to bring them more code compliance, right?
100%.
Yeah. One of the big issues I've been noticing too is that we're out here like, and this isn't my own like thought, exactly, but I've kind of pulled it from many different people talking, having the conversation is, if we're all out here just kind of tap dancing, saying the same exact thing, kind of providing that Canadian doctor experience where we're not really finding out what you really need, we're commoditizing ourselves. We don't even know it. You know what I mean? And so customers expect that bottom price, because that quality, you know what I mean? So we got to get away from that and like help each other and rise everybody up together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you asked what I thought about Alex Hormozi's book. That's one of the biggest things that sticks in my mind, man. And it's the truest thing I've ever read. Every new entrant comes to the market. How do they figure out their pricing? They phone their competition. What do you guys charge per hour? What do you guys charge per hour? What do you guys? And they come in and they go, I'll just do a little bit more for a little bit less. A little bit more for a little bit
race
less.
to the bottom, bro.
A little bit more. Eventually there's no less to charge.
Exactly.
It's a mess.
Exactly.
But also, I got to say, I think I just made a nationwide enemy with Canadian doctors here.
Damn, bro.
Hey, the next time you go to the doctor, you should be like, nah. That's like
Wow,
turn around.
Yeah, you look on the table. He's got your podcast. He just finished it. He's like, just giving you the side eye, like, damn, bro.
Yeah, he just hands you like a Flintstone vitamin, like, all right, you good.
Scurvy, man. Take it.
Yeah.
Fellas, this has been amazing. I think we got to wrap this up, but let me ask you, obviously this turned into a podcast and I'm pumped to actually be able to put this out. I'm hoping the audio, everything worked out. It was no preparation. I thank you guys so much for your contribution.
Appreciate
today.
you even allowing us to do that.
Yeah, seriously, it's awesome.
We also had a triage call and we did get through some of the meat and potatoes of this thing. Do you guys want to follow up with a strategy call, more private, less, let's get into that
100%.
pricing and figure all this out. And if I can say this, I usually know if we're a fit to work together in the first time we meet. And honestly, guys, this has been one of the better connections I've had. So I appreciate you guys and I hope you feel the same way.
100%.
Thank you so much, brother. Yep.
Totally.
Yep. It's been great, man. I feel like me and Eddie have learned a lot from just this alone.
Yes, 100%.
Well, it's the one thing, man. We always want to leave people better than we found them. Strategy is not the problem. I said that early on. So what my niche has become is giving strategy away and just helping every electrician. We're on a mission to help every electrician realize their value, get over this hump, this obstacle, through this rock that is themselves. It's this personal battle shit. It's the health and the family stuff that's in the way, but it's also what I call the red team, this little voice we hear before we knock on the door, before we talk to our next potential client. It's the stuff that's holding us back from doing our diligence and being our best. So we give the strategies away, but we connect people with their highest selves. Get back and step into your best self, your worth, and start articulating that and getting paid what you're worth.
100%.
Oh
yeah. I think the last thing I want to say too is just if any other advice to some other contractors, not even electricians, but anybody in the service industry, is what's been helping us is I forget who said it exactly, but I need to write it down and keep it in front of me. But it goes something like most people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. You know what I mean? Sir. So that's been my mantra this past year, is just caring. You know what I mean? Don't try to throw up on anybody. Just care about the person. You know, that'll get you a lot further.
Absolutely. I guess I care about you guys. Thanks. Eddie, did you have something there? Sorry.
Yeah, it was just adding from what you said, like, charging of what you're worth, for these other electrical companies, they should be charging, what they're worth. But to add to that is, if you get, for example, if you're quoting out stuff, if your team starts getting super, super good, like you build a flat rate, hey, it's gonna take you, normally average time to install whatever is 8 hours. But if your team gets so efficient enough that it could get done in 4 hours, don't change your price to not only charge 4 hours, so charge it 8. Your team should not suffer for being good at their job.
Yeah, that's the hourly problem for sure. I agree.
Yeah, better you are, the less money you start making.
Yeah, like it makes no sense.
Backwards, that race.
And I'm quoting Clay because I think I read that. I think you said that in one of the comments. So
yeah,
so
you got it, brother.
Yep. I just wanted to add to that. That's it. I appreciate
Cheers,
this,
fellas. I'm going to send you a link for that 45-minute call. I thank you so much for your consent on this interview today, and just turned out wonderful. I love it when things just come together, man. There's nothing more of a miracle in life than a little co-creation, and things don't just happen. Things happen just. So
yeah,
100%.
We're here.
Looking forward to the next one, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely look forward.
Cheers, guys.
Later.
Thanks, man.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our show today. What an incredible experience when co-creation just comes together. If you're taking this seriously and you really want to start rising, then come check us out on the website at rise2rise.com. That's rise, T-O, rise.com. If you know someone that needs to hear this, if you liked this podcast, if you want to give us some feedback, please do so.